And welcome to the Clouse Q Show, live here on ONTV. I'm Jason Clouse, being joined by Quadell Edwards. We certainly appreciate you tuning in this week. This is a big weekend around these parts. First and foremost, right out of the gate, we want to wish all of the dads out there who are watching here tonight a very happy Father's Day, certainly to you, sir. Q, how's things going, man?
Man, they're going great, man. Happy Father's Day to you, too, as well. Everyone out there celebrating, man. Life is good. You just got to enjoy it while you can.
Absolutely, and it's kind of what we're going to be talking about here tonight, live on ONTV. We're coming into the summer months, and Q and I have put even more thought than usual into our topic ideas, and later on in this broadcast, we will kind of touch on something else that's kind of been happening around the network that is starting to gain a little bit of attention. Our name, our show has been attached to it. We'll get to it later on in the broadcast, but when we talk about things on the show here, Q, we try to find topics that's going to resonate with people. We try to find things that people can identify with, or they may be struggling with something, and something that we say, something, our approach at a different scenario, topic, or circumstance helps people, or it conjures a different, process, a different train of thought, and they're like, oh, well, it seemed insurmountable at that time, but I listened to these two guys on ONTV, and all of a sudden I get a little bit of clarity. I got an email since our last show here that indicated just that. Like, they were dealing with, I don't want to get too personal here because I didn't have the permission, as it were, to actually go into detail, but a fan of ours watched our show, and something that we said, something that we talked about, our perspective, opened another door of clarity for them. And in the process, it has kind of turned his life around. And I wanted to start the show out this month on this episode and let you know we are making a difference here, whether we realize it or not. How does that make you feel, man?
It makes me feel really good, because we're not just up here just blowing smoke, because everything that we talk about on a monthly basis are things that we pretty much dealt with ourselves. It's not like we're just coming up with things just to talk to you guys about, but these are like real life experiences, and we use different examples and everything, and we throw it out there to you guys, and hopefully you guys can take heed to what we're saying. And I wanted to say I also talked to someone who is a fan of the show, and this was actually, and I should have told you a while ago. It was actually about a little over a month ago. An older lady, she pulled me aside and said how much of an inspiration we are to her and her husband. And this means so much to hear her say that, because her husband actually just passed.
Oh, man.
And he watched our show, and he was saying, you guys got to keep on going, keep doing what you're doing. He was an older guy, but just the fact that we can impact people, no matter what age group or where you're at in life, we can touch people, impact people through our experiences, So, I just love doing this. So we just got to keep moving.
It's good. I mean, we enjoy doing what we do here, and obviously it's not just Q and I that make this happen. There's some very loyal people, very passionate people in our vision that share the same vision that we do, that makes this show possible. It makes all of the podcasts possible on the PFC Entertainment Network. And like we have a good time doing this, and we do this because we want to make a positive, impact and difference in people's lives, because, we've talked about it, pretty near every month, just the overall and the dominant aura of our society is a negative one. We don't have to focus on that. There's just so much good in life. The problem is that it's all of the controversy and the negativity that get the clickbaits, and that's what gets all the attention because people feel like they're a part of something, scandalous or controversial because controversy creates cash and blah, blah, blah. Listen, we can sit here and take that and cut it up into 1,000 pieces, but here tonight we're going to talk about something else. And it's kind of like the 3 phases in life, at least the way I look at it, Q. We have the past, the present, and the future. And how one intertwines with the other really tells a pretty strong story of everybody's existence, their personal journeys, how you deal with the past, how it impacts the future, and in a lot of cases, Q, and this is why I selected this topic for this month, we kind of forget to live in the now. Yeah. We're so damn worried about what has happened, and we're so concerned about what could happen. We're not focused. We're not dialed in on the here and now.
Right.
We all have this mentality that we have unlimited amounts of time, when the fact of the matter is, tomorrow is never a guarantee.
It's not.
So tonight we are going to dive into this. I found a meme. That's how we come up with a lot of our topics, either on the podcast or here. And I'm going to read it to you, kind of give you the overhaul, and then we're going to break this down. The past is behind, learn from it. The future is ahead, you can prepare for it. But the present is here, you have to live it. Live life now, right?
Exactly, because, life this is it. I mean, what are you doing in between the 2 dots? When you're born and you die, what are you doing in between the dots? You can easily look back and dwell on the things that happened in the past. There's 2 scenarios that come up in my head when I think about, people that wants to keep living in the past, because it's not only just the bad stuff that we focus on, in the past, because we all had something in the past that might try to keep us there, But also, even when you go through success, a lot of people still don't get out of that success. And just like your story, and I love your story because you were a professional wrestler, an entertainer for years and years, and you knew exactly when to let it go. That was your success. Now, a lot of people don't get out of that success when it's time to move on, because I see life as chapters, And when I read that book, you don't stay in that one chapter. There's going to be a time where you have to move forward. So no matter if it's negative or positive, you still got to move forward, because you got more negative that's going to be thrown your way, but you got to prepare for it. But you're also going to have those positives that are right there. There's more things that you can do, because I don't think you would ever, you wouldn't be here if you were still in the past, still doing the things that you used to do. And that's for all of us. You have to know when to turn the page, that chapter. When is it the end of that chapter, and you can move forward to something even more greater,
It's amazing because, full disclosure, Q had actually proposed another topic for tonight's episode, and we decided that we're going to postpone that to our August show for specific reasons, and we'll talk about it more as we get closer to that date. But this one right here, when you look at the 3 phases of life, I feel like this is what really separates a lot of people for a lot of different reasons, because everybody has their own story, their own journey, their own path, their own experiences, and each part of that has helped form and mold these people into who they are here and now. Some people are dialed in and they absolutely love where they are in life. Other ones, not so much.
Right.
A good portion of that is because they are so focused on what went wrong in the past a lot of times. this is a double-edged sword, because when you focus on the past, whether it's something of a positive nature or a negative nature, it will impact your ability to not only prepare for the future, but it will hamper and almost, cause your own obstacles here in the present.
Exactly.
Now, we're going to focus on the past part first, because at the end of the day, and this is what people need to understand, whatever has happened has happened. Mm-hmm. There is absolutely nothing you're going to be able to do to go back in time.
There's no time machine.
And there is none. This is not Back to the Future, which is funny because we sat here with our director before we came on the air and talked about, and Back to the Future is a common, topic because it's just such an iconic movie. Be that as it may, there is no time machine that takes us back in time for us to correct what went wrong. What's happened has happened. Now, what you can do is one of two things. You can either dwell on it or you can learn from it. This did not go right. My decisions, my choices, or these different scenarios and the way I responded to them did not lead me to an awesome result.
Right.
But at the same time, you can use it as a learning tool.
Yep.
You realize what went wrong, and know not to do that into the future, because if it's a repeated pattern, then that's a different issue for another time, right? It's just a fool makes the same mistakes over and over and over again until something snaps and you get off that merry-go-round. Yeah. It's kind of what it is, right? Q? It's like a revolving door.
You do the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. That's insanity.
It's right.
That is insanity. So there's something that's got to change, and that's something that you have to intentionally do right now in the moment and not think about what went wrong back then, because one thing we don't do and you use that word focus, when we drive down the street, what do we focus on? What's ahead of us? I don't see nobody, or I hopefully don't see nobody driving down that road looking in that rear view mirror and thinking they're actually going to get to where they need to go. They're going to crash into a tree.
Yeah.
They're going to crash into
somebody.
They're going to hit somebody.
Yeah.
They're going to hit a car. They're going to run all kind of red lights. All kind of things will go wrong when you focus on the rear view. So you have to focus on now, because what you do now sets up the future. And I know we're going to talk about the future later. That we have to focus on right now, live life right now, because a lot of people are not enjoying right now because of what happened back then. You don't have to dwell on those things. Also, those are things that you have to let go. And I think about, I got kids, so I love listening to the song "Let It Go" by Frozen.
Sure.
Because there's so many words in that actually make sense if you listen to the song. If you listen to the words of that song, you have to let it go, which is one of the hardest things that you might end up doing, because you're holding so tight on what was, what those things that happened to you, or those things that didn't happen to you, or, what went wrong and all that other stuff. You got to let it go. Once you let it go, doors open. That's the thing. See, we're waiting for doors to open while we're holding on to what was. We're still trying to get through that last door.
Right.
But now there's such power in moving on. There's so much power in moving on, but a lot of people don't see that, because sometimes the past actually looks great because you want to try to fix that. But that's something that you got to do right now.
Right.
That's something that you got to do in the present. You can't go back in time. And I know this generation probably don't even know what Back to the Future is.
Well, if they do, it's a punchline.
It's a time machine thing. You can't go back in time. For those, I'm gonna bring it to the 21st century. This generation is watching the Avengers Endgame when they go back into time. Mm-hmm. You can't do that. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. So.
Q, the other side of this coin, when we're talking about the past, we focus a lot of the negative side of things. We dwell on, man, I messed this up, or I shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have said that. Had I done this differently, this wouldn't happen. I mean, there's all kinds of wouldas, couldas, shouldas.
Right, yeah.
On the flip side of that coin, you've got the people that, what I call, rest on their laurels. Like there's something in the past that was good. It did benefit them. It was a positive thing. It was something good in their life. But they rest on that.
Yep.
They don't build off that momentum. And in turn, when they start to realize that they're resting solely on what was, they're no longer as driven or as focused on what is going to be.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, like you said earlier, between those 2 points of time, you're here in the now, and you're going absolutely nowhere. And ultimately, this is going to be, and I have seen this firsthand, this changes people.
Yeah.
That aura and that attitude of being determined and driven is now fueled by ego. It's fueled by entitlement.
Yeah, that's
it's
it.
fueled by all of these things that came with what was, but instead of building off that momentum, you're right in the middle here, and it starts to change a person. They're no longer who they once were. All of a sudden, they have put themselves up on a higher pedestal because of a past success. This, my friend, is what I find is what determines who's going to be a long-term success or just a flash in the pan.
Yeah, and I agree there, because one thing you got to do is you got to remain humble. No matter what success you got or went through or whatever, whatever goal you accomplish, remain humble within that goal, because, I mean, that wasn't guaranteed. You worked hard, yes, and I'm okay with getting credit, taking credit for what you did, but you cannot rest on that. You have to move forward. You got to allow that to catapult you, allow it to just move you to what the next goal is, because we can't stay at this goal right here. That wasn't our destination. That was just our temporary destination where we made it here. Now what? Life is still going. And that's the thing. Like, life is not over just because you made it to the goal. You have to keep moving forward. And I see that personally, because just because I got the job that I wanted don't mean that's where I want to stay. I want to move forward from there. I want to use it as steps. You going up the stairs, how many of you climb the stairs, stop in the middle, be like, all right, I made it. And you just stay there. You're right at the middle of the stairs, and there's more steps. You have to keep moving. You have to keep going. Don't just because you made it up a step, that's not the end. That's not the end of the story.
I have I heard, because I listen to different motivational speakers and things of this nature, and the one that I go back to, I had it saved on my old phone, and like I had forgotten about it, and then it came back across my radar, like something clicked. I'm like, I need to hear this, so I went and looked it up, and I found it again. But it's become kind of a mantra for me. It's kind of like not a catchphrase, because there's just so much more layers to it, but I didn't come this far just to come this far.
Exactly.
I came this far to show me that it is possible. And this is in the grand scheme of things, a stepping stone.
Yep.
I didn't come this far to come this far. And I'm not going to rest on like you used the example earlier, I spent almost 30 years as a professional wrestler before I started getting into podcasting and started doing motivational speaking and things of this nature. Everything that I did in the wrestling business prepared me for what I'm doing here and now. Exactly. The motivational speaking, the podcast, the ONTV shows, live stage shows, things of this nature. It would be very easy, and I know quite a few people that have had some degree of success in some realm, and I'll use the wrestling business as an example, and that's who they are. Everything that they've done to this point, to them, is the pinnacle. So
Yep.
they're going to ride that momentum. Here's the problem. Eventually, if you are in a sailboat and you are going across the oceans of life, that wind does die down. It does not you do not encounter a strong gale force wind throughout the entire course of your journey. That wind dies down.
Yep.
When that happens, you are stuck in the middle unless you are going to start doing some paddling. Okay? That's a metaphor for life.
Yep.
It's going to get you to one point. But if you're not willing to put in some extra effort, some extra work, that's as far as you're going to go in that particular endeavor, in that particular chapter of your life. I don't know about you, brother. Well, actually, I do know about you, and I think that's what makes you and me who we are, is I know what drives you. I know where you want to go.
Yeah.
You know where I want to go.
Yeah.
We've sat here before we came on the air and talked about it. We didn't come this far to come this far. And we've learned from, the things that worked in our past and things that did not work in our past. And we build off that to make, in this particular scenario, this show a success for us, for the people that run the studio, and for you watching at home. I don't rest on what we've done up to this point. I build off that momentum, right?
That's right, and that's what you gotta do. Don't stop. And a lot of people are getting to a certain point and they quit because they feel like they made it. This is not it. Don't stay stagnant. And that's like a big thing for me. It's like people that stay stagnant. And I think about I'm in the fitness business. Now, what happens when I plateau in a certain workout and I cannot get any more gains from whatever workout that I'm doing? I change it up. I got to switch weights. Maybe I got to up the weight. Maybe I got to up the reps. Maybe I got to up the sets. Whatever you got to do, you have to change something. And that's what life is about, change. You have to change somewhere to actually get that extra boost, get somewhere else, get further and further out there. You don't stop in the middle because sometimes the middle looks like the end.
Yeah.
That we get confused, and that's the thing. We get confused. We get blinded by success. We get blinded by failure. We get blinded. That's just it. We just get blinded. So we have to stop getting blinded and stopping and take those blindfolds off and actually keep moving forward. You grease up those elbows and go. That's as simple as I can put it, is grease it up and go. I mean, stop parking your car in the middle of the road. Stop stopping in the middle of the journey and move forward, because there's more for you to do. You didn't make it to this dot yet. That's the end of your life. You haven't made it there yet. So if you still got life in you, you got a lot of life to live. And that's what you got to do right now. But guess what? It's got to be intentional. You got to do it. I can't live life for Jason Clouse, and he cannot live life for me. We have to live life for ourselves. What we do is we support each other and we encourage each other. He helps push me to go further. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. So this is things that we do. You make sure you're surrounded by the right people to help you with that push. Because you got people that's in your past that you dragging along with you. It's like taking an anchor. Taking an anchor, you got that anchor on that boat and you think you're going to go somewhere? No, you got that anchor dig deep in the sand. You're not going to go anywhere with that anchor. Some things you got to let go from that past to get to where you need to go. Your present sometimes might just include you until you find those right people. That's just life. Feel free to let go sometime, whether it's people, whether it's family, whether it's just those issues, those negative thoughts, whatever it is. Be free and let it go. That's what we need. We need mental freedom. We need some liberty around here. We need to know when to drop it and go.
If you've watched the show for any length of time here on ONTV, or you've watched any of our things on YouTube or anything like that, you know when something registers with me. Because you just said something and it pulled a number of triggers. And it would be real easy for me to jump into that rabbit hole right here now. but I'm gonna curb it. I'm gonna table that for after the break. Let's make the transition real quick to the future. Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, we've spent the last 25 minutes or what have you talking about the past aspect of this. Now we're going to focus on the future. So everything that you've done, everything that you've seen and experienced is preparing you for the future. We're going to kind of leapfrog over the present, because the present is what's going to get me fired up. Okay, full disclosure. So if you want to go run and get the popcorn ready now for promo mode, now would be that time. But we're going to talk about we're going to talk about the future right now and preparing for it. So we've already discussed that, what you've done to this point has been good, bad, or indifferent, but everything has been a piece of the journey to where you want to be. Everybody, by and large, for the most part, has a goal in mind. Something in their life is not firing on all cylinders, or something that they see on the horizon is something that is meaningful to them. Mm-hmm. They want it, they desire it, they crave it, they want to work for it. They're willing to go through the weeds. Yeah. I remember where I'm at. Yep. We're not on the podcast. We're on television. Got to keep that in mind. PG. But at the same time, it's for me, and I believe for you too, there's short-term goals, there's long-term goals.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying you can't shoot or reach for the stars, because Q and I do that. We reach for the stars.
Absolutely.
There's things that are above and beyond where our here and now is, but we know that they're obtainable. Why do we know that? Because we know what's inside of us. The ones who don't know what's inside of them, the ones who don't have that fundamental grasp on who and what they are, they're going to be the ones that are going to have the hardest time achieving these goals, right?
Yeah. You got to know who you are. You got to know what. We always talked about this. Those goals need to be written down. Goals need to be written down and in your face. And I always say, I'm the metaphor, on a metaphoric thought here. When you want to cook some eggs, you put that skillet on the stove, but you don't turn the burner on. There's no fire. Those eggs are not going to get cooked. You might have a goal in mind, but there's some action that needs to take place. You need to light the fire in your life to actually get to the goal that you have in mind. Write it down. Write it down. And then get there. Put the work in. Get there. Those short-term goals should lead up to that long-term goal. And that's where we say, just like we was talking about, you cannot get stuck. You get to this goal right here, you cannot get stuck there, because this is where you need to go. And even when you get there, there's even more that you can do. The future is ahead of you. It's ahead of you, but it's birthed within you, because whatever you do in here, whatever you bring out in here is birthing what's going to be ahead of you. And if you want what you want bad enough, then you will allow that fire to be lit. And let me see, I got some goals. And this is how powerful those big long-term goals are for me. The goals that I got, my pocketbook cannot fund it. That's how big my goal is. My pocketbook cannot. I guess pocketbook is old school. Huh?
Well, I know what you're saying, right?
My wallet cannot fund my goal. But guess what? It's still my goal. So that's where you use those short-term goals to get to where you want to go, and make those goals big. Now, it's all right to have some big goals, because I got big goals, and I know I'm going to get there. You got to have faith in yourself. You got to know that you can do it by doing those short-term goals. And you know what? And I celebrate every goal that I meet. I do. I
You celebrate it, but you don't rest on it.
I don't rest on it because once that celebration is over, I got to get back to work.
Right.
So I go and I move on. I move on to that next goal. This is what we have to do in life, because every goal that I have is not just about me. My goal is connected to somebody else's goal. And for me, being a fitness coach, being a life coach, and being a mental coach, being whatever type of coach I need to be in that time and period in somebody's life is including somebody else. I cannot encourage somebody without somebody being there, so
Right.
that's important. My goal is always connected to somebody else's goal. So when I meet each and every goal, I'm impacting that person that got that goal that want to be better. They needed to hear what I had to say. They needed to hear what Jason Clouse had to say. People that tune in have goals to be better, and those people are following us because they want to be better, and they take on every word that we say, and it helps them get to their goals. That's why I say our goals are actually connected to other people, because it's not just us up here performing, being entertainers. We're not here to entertain. We're here to encourage and motivate people. We want people to be better. I want this world to be better, but it's not going to be better if I don't make that decision to make it better myself. I got to be better within myself, and I got to make sure I meet each and every goal humbly, because even though I celebrate, I know I'm not bigger than that person I'm talking to.
That is a huge part of it. That is a huge factor into what determines who's successful and who's not. Because if you have the goals, short-term, long-term, and you have them for the right reasons.
Yeah.
If it's not something that just, I am a firm believer in aura, in karma. I am a firm believer that hard work does pay off. I believe in basic fundamentals that our society is hell-bent on getting away from because of all the technological advances. You can have all the technology in the world, but at the end of the day, it does come back down. Fundamentals. Mm-hmm. It truly does. It doesn't have to be overly complicated. It's made overly complicated by people who are doubting themselves.
Exactly.
So we can prepare for the future based on what has happened in the past. Again, you know what worked, you know what didn't. You can incorporate the good and the bad. Get the bad out of there. If it didn't work, it's out of here. Focus on the good. And then you start finding these different aspects on to build upon that to help, maintain and sustain that momentum. So now the big part of this is going to be the present, right?
Yep.
So, but before we get there, because I feel like he's already triggered me. I feel like
I do that from time to time.
I feel like there is a promo coming sooner rather than later. So what we're going to do, we are going to run a quick timeout. More of the Clouse Q Show live on ONTV is right after this break.
The Friends of the Orion Township Library are looking for book donations and volunteers for their next gently used book sale. With the goal of promoting reading, literacy, and lifelong learning, the nonprofit organization began in 1985 and is the liaison between the community and its library. All but a fraction of the money raised by the Friends is donated for program funding, material, and monetary contribution for the library. If you are interested in learning more, please visit orionlibrary.org/friends.
Heat up your summer with a mini staycation at Orion Township's Summer Sizzle on Thursday, June 22nd from 6 to 8 p.m. Bring the family to the Orion Center to enjoy carnival games, face painting, a bounce house, balloons, grilled hot dogs, and much more without breaking the bank. All of this family-friendly fun is free for everyone. It's a staycation that sizzles. Parking and admission is free. No registration required. For more information, you can call 248-391-0304 extension 3500 or visit orionparks.com.
And welcome back to the Clouse Q Show. We're live here on ONTV. We certainly appreciate you tuning in here tonight. Real quick before we get back on topic here, I got to make mention on a personal note. I got a lot of flack last month because I wore a Colorado Rockies jersey on the show. So here tonight, I decided to represent more locally with the Detroit Tigers. But I just thought it was funny, so I had to make mention of it that I am a Tigers fan first and foremost, but I do love the Rockies and I do love the Chicago Cubs. So spoiler alert, next month I'm probably wearing a pretty BA Cubs jersey that my lady got for me. So
awesome.
Be that as it. Anyway, back on track here. We certainly appreciate you tuning in here. We are talking about the 3 phases in life, right? We're talking about learning from the past because it's already happened. We've talked about the future is coming up. You can prepare for it. But like Q so eloquently put, between those 2 spots in the time continuum, there's your Back to the Future reference, we're here in the present. And a lot of times, the present is either disregarded or just outright overlooked because we're so focused and so zeroed in on what went wrong or what happened in the past in preparation for what's coming. Now, I'm an overthinker, self-admittedly. Yeah,
this guy is too.
You know, well, it's because I guess I never really labeled it as that. I looked at it as I was preparing myself for every possible scenario that could be fired back at me, especially if I embarked on something new, a new journey or new goal, something I'm not familiar with. And it would be real easy to sit there and get wrapped up in those 3 ofs. Would have, could have, should have, right?
Right.
So he's like, man, I'm not going to let this dictate my journey, my goal, my momentum, even though there are a number of different aspects in the past, in the future, that does try to infiltrate and kind of mold where we're going here in the present. Would you agree with that?
I do. I always say those decisions you make shapes you. I mean, a lot of decisions we make, we do it in the present. We've done it in the past, and we're gonna do it in the future. But what we're doing right now in the present is helping build that future. And what these kids are playing now, they're playing a game called Fortnite. Mm-hmm. Fortnite, and I'm no expert on the game, and tell me if I'm getting it wrong. Just put it in the comments. But what I see my kids do when they're playing that game is they're building things on the spot to hide from other players or something like that. I guess for defense or, to get to higher ground. Matter of fact, I think Mr. Brian Buff knows a little bit about that game because he actually told me that his kids play it.
There's the Stan Lee reference.
The Stan Lee reference, yeah, there he is. But what we see is that game kind of represents life because whatever decision that you make today can and most likely will impact your tomorrow. And I think about coming from the fitness background. When I usually go if I eat something like Burger King or something like that, it really disrupts my stomach, and that's something that I'm going to have to deal with probably 24 hours from that time that I eaten that burger or whatever it is. So whatever you do in the present time does affect your future, whether it's tomorrow or further on down the line. So that's why we have to choose carefully what we do, and not only just carefully make decisions, enjoy life. And we talk about working hard, and we always talk about working hard towards your goal, but take time and actually enjoy the moment, because life is a bunch of moments. What do we remember? We remember moments. Right. So life is a bunch of moments that we have to enjoy and take it in. And then once it's over, move on. You move on to that next moment, move on to that next part of life, whatever it is, whatever decision that you got to make for that day, do it, and just keep moving forward. But live in that moment. Don't worry about tomorrow, but prepare for tomorrow. And one mentor actually told me that really impacted my life years ago. He said, you have to expect the best, but prepare for the worst. Things are going to happen. Just because we say throw away negativity is always going to be thrown at you. So, and whether it's something that happens in life, tragedy happens in life, these are things that happen in life that you have different moments of, you got to take it in and move past it. But life is about moments, and you have to prepare. Make sure you prepare, because that future is going to be birthed from within you. It's going to be birthed from within you. Those decisions that you make, you're forming. Just like Fortnite, you're forming whatever you want to form, those buildings or whatever they make on there. What's the other? Minecraft is another good one. I don't know too much about these games, but, I want to reference these things because there's different learning points that you want to get from that when it comes to life. You're building things for the future. You're building a foundation not only for you, but for me, I got kids. I'm building a foundation for my kids, and then they're going to make decisions in their life, and they're going to build onto the foundation. And these are things that we have to do when we focus on the now. We're focusing on the now. We're building our future when we focus on the now.
That's the interesting part about it is, because you hear the phrase all the time, stop and smell the roses. Yeah. As cliche as it may be, and it's been around since the beginning of time, but there is a lot of truth to that. Because if you don't stop to smell the proverbial roses, you miss out, much like what you're saying, you miss out on these moments in life that are happening right now. And by and large, these are the moments that mean the most. You can sit here, spend all that time in the past and the future, but you are in the now.
Yeah.
Now, this is where I'm going to get fired up, because I am at a point in my life where I have...
Oh man, the glasses came off, guys.
I am at a point in my life right now where I have allowed the ramifications of the past and the fear of the future to dictate who and what I'm going to be. I've had people, specifically, on both ends of the spectrum, those who have had some sort of impact on my life in the past, and the ones that are on the horizon waiting for me, some of which I don't even know exist yet, but I will when I get there. My point here is that I am here. He is here. You are here. You're not in another dimension. You're not, like we said, you don't have a time machine that's going to take you to and from. You are in the here and now. And yeah, it's important to learn from the past. And I don't give a crap what it is. We all have made mistakes in our life.
Yep.
He's done it, I've done it, you've done it. Some are astronomical, some maybe not so bad. But at the end of the day, we all have things that we can look back on and be like, damn, I wish I could have that one back. But do you? Because as you progress down life's path, what happened on that particular occasion has provided you with a tool that you would not have had that not happened. It could be something as fundamental as an appreciation for somebody else, or a better understanding of a scenario, either in your professional life or a personal one. It could be a relationship that you have on a personal level, or it could be somebody that you work alongside with.
Yep.
Doesn't matter. What we have here now is truly the most precious thing at our disposal. That is life. I say that, and there's going to be some people that are going to be like, I am at rock bottom. Life sucks. I don't want to do this. There's other alternatives than what I'm doing here and now. And by and large, we're talking about very permanent solutions to very temporary problems.
Yeah.
We've discussed that. You could go back in the archives and check it out. But here's the thing. You are here. You are here now. And we need to abandon this philosophy that we have unlimited time. We need to abandon this philosophy that we have all of the time at our disposal. And in turn, we take for granted these moments in life. Not just moments, but the people in them. People will treat other people as expendables.
Right.
And for those of you who aren't really sure what an expendable is, I'll use this reference from one of, my favorite movies, Rambo.
I love Rambo.
Well, right. Who doesn't love Rambo? Expendable. You know, it's like when you get invited to a party and you don't show up, it doesn't really matter. Okay? You're not expendable. You're not expendable. I'm not expendable. We all have our place here in life. And we all have the right to be happy. We all have the right to be around the things and the situations and the people that we love and that love us, that bring out the absolute best in us, and that you bring out the best in them. We need to focus more on the what is instead of what was. We need to focus on the what is instead of the what could be. Because when you start focusing more on this or that, you're missing out on the here and now.
Yep.
And the here and now is what provides you with what could be the greatest moment of your life. These snapshots. I talk about this all the time in my everyday. I will experience, something minor. It could be something like the way the sun hit my girl's face and she radiated. That's a moment in time, man.
Yep.
Like, that's one of them snapshots that I will remember for the rest of my life. If I was so damn worried about what happened in my past and was more worried about what could be in my future, I would have missed that. I would have missed on that opportunity. I would have missed out on that moment and so many more if I didn't stop to smell the roses. Because I was very much a person that was focused more on the future, what could be. I wasn't worried about the here and now, even though I knew in the back of my mind that I had to focus on where I was at, or else how in the hell am I going to take the next step to the next goal, short term or long term?
Yep.
I am very much a person who lives in the moment. And I no longer take for granted life's greatest gifts. And they're not usually, they're not on flashy billboards. They're not in big elaborate trailers. They're not in any of this stuff. It is real life, and it happens when we least expect it. Yeah. It happens with the people that we oftentimes take for granted because we think in the back of our minds, they're always going to be there. I got news for you. That is not always the case. I implore each and every one of you, for those of you who have people in your lives, they mean everything to you. You need to not rest on the fact that you just assume that they know what they are to you. You have to remind them of that. Mm-hmm. You have to cherish each and every moment with those people. Your people, your significant other, your sibling, your parent, your best friend, whatever the case may be. If these people mean anything to you, you need to live in this moment.
Yep.
Because one day, There will be a moment in time that you did not see coming. You did not prepare for. And those are the ones that have the greatest threat to rattle us, to knock us off the path. Not just on the journey to where we want to go, but to who we are fundamentally as individuals. We can sit here and drag all of the negativity of all of the ghosts of the BS in the past, much like you were saying. We can continue to allow that to hold us back or to hinder our progress. We're still kind of making progress, but we're nowhere near where we could be because we're so damn worried about what has happened. Yeah. And those things have latched themselves a hold of you because they can't afford to let you go like in their mind. This is where you sever the ties. Yeah, there could be ramifications. There could be this and there could be that. Yeah, that's always an option. But the other option is you could continue to move forward to the greatest chapter of your life. That's not going to happen as long as you're carrying excess baggage that at the end of the day has got no business enjoying your success or enjoying you as an individual. Not when there's other people out there that are your cheerleaders. They are your ones. They are the ones who are there to encourage you, to support you, to inspire you, to be there. Not because there's ulterior motives or what they can gain out of it, because of who you are, fundamentally. I believe that everybody has a right to achieve these dreams. But you gotta have the right mindset. We've talked about this time and time again. Always. It's all about mindset. When you are dedicated, and this is individualized. When you are ready to actually make some moves, when you are ready to actually move forward and to achieve your goals, your dreams, your desires, personally or professionally, then you know you're going to have to make some tough decisions. And they're not always going to be easy ones. However, they will provide you with the moments in time that become lifetime snapshots in your brain that you will go back and remember and recall vividly. And these are the things that inspire us. These are the ones that keep us going. These are the ones that motivate us. My friendship with Quadell Edwards is a huge reason why I'm where I am here today. Not just on a professional level, not just because of what we're doing here on ONTV, but from a personal level, from a friendship level. I've got more respect in my little finger for this man than I do for the majority of society as a whole, because he is a prime example of what could be if you have the right mindset. The sky's the limit for this guy. The sky's the limit for a lot of my friends that I continue to maintain some degree of friendship with, some relationship with, because the ones that no longer serve that purpose and they threaten to disrupt my happiness, my inner peace, and my ability to move forward, they're out of here. Yep. Doesn't matter if I've known you for 2 weeks or 2 decades. You're gone. I've got no time for you. He's got no time for people like that. And if you're focused on true happiness in your life with those that you love and those who love you, as hard of a decision as it can be, you can make those cuts so that you can optimize and you can live in the moment and you can seize that moment here and now. Because if you don't focus on the here and now, what happens tomorrow won't mean a damn thing. Anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, definitely. When you were talking about making cuts, on a personal level, as hard as that may be, it may be the best thing for you. And I say that because look at the professional world. Look at the professional world. Look at the world of sports. If you are dragging the team down, what do?
You get cut.
You get cut. And that's the analogy. That analogy really needs to apply to life. And I'm not saying that life is a business, no. But guess what? Life is getting dragged down for you when you have those leeches sucking all the blood out of your vessels. Because that's what's happening. You got people that will suck you dry. Really. They will suck you dry and have no remorse. And one thing about, those ones, and I'm gonna say this, because I know I know this is something that a lot of people deal with. You have, if you really want to live in the moment, you want to live in your present day moment, you have to learn to forgive you. You got to forgive yourself. What takes people out of the moment is guilt, fear. People have fear of guilt. Mm-hmm. I mean, people are stuck in a guilt trip that they end up with those people that drag them down. They don't want to let them go because they're dealing with guilt. They say, well, I already failed. That means I'm a failure. Guess what? Failure don't have to be a failure if you let it go. Failure can be a lesson. It can be a lesson. Turn your mess into a message. Turn your mess into a message, because when you graduate from that situation, not only are you impacting your own life and you're making probably one of the best decisions, but you're going to impact people that's actually watching your journey. And that's what it's about. Mm-hmm. That's what it's about. You don't have to stay stuck because of what happened or what used to be. You don't have to have a guilt trip about yourself. Forgive yourself and let it go. What do fighters do? What did you do in a professional wrestling business? You get slammed. Do you stay on the mat?
Nope.
You get back up. You get back up, because if you lay on that mat, you forfeited. You forfeited. You pretty much saying, you know what, come pin me, because it's over.
I give up.
It's over. I tap out.
Right.
So many people are tapping out of life due to guilt, due to what happened. You don't have to stay there. Forgive yourself. Move forward. That's a life lesson.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I could not have said it better. And as we put a bow on this episode, one more time, we certainly appreciate you guys tuning in. You can check out all of our latest information over on our Facebook page. You just look for the Clouse Q Show, or go to clousetotheheart.net, which is the official website of the PSC Entertainment Network. Q and I are going to be back here live for our next installment of the Clouse Q Show on July the 14th. Brian Balfe is going to join us.
Stanley?
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to be here in the studio for our next installment. Very much looking forward to that. We kind of alluded to it, and we're not going to go into great detail, but just know that this summer, later in the summer, there's going to be a special bonus episode of sorts of this particular show here on ONTV. Stay tuned to our social media accounts for more information. I'm getting pretty excited about that.
Oh boy.
Anytime we can think outside the box, we're all for it. So stay tuned for that. We appreciate you guys so much. Go out, be awesome to yourselves and to each other. We'll see you right back here on July the 14th, here for the Clouse Q Show, exclusively on Orion Neighborhood Television.